Since its launch in 2005, Broad Street Review has sought to promote the exchange of viewpoints rather than any particular point of view. To that end, we welcome commentary from professionals and amateurs alike about the performing and visual arts, as well as any other field of interest to our eclectic group of contributors. The following interview was submitted to Broad Street Review, powered by Rep Radio. Welcome to Rep Radio. I'm your host, Darnell Radford, and today I'm in the balcony at Plays and Players Theater.
Historic.
I'm in the historic balcony at Plays and Players Theater. And I'm here with 1812 Productions to talk about the 13th annual production of This Is the Week That Is. And today I'm here with Sean Close and Justin Jain.
Holler.
Welcome. And welcome back. I think welcome back. Yeah, welcome back. I was looking at the press release, and Jen said every year we start with the question, what it feels like to be an American right now. So I'm going to put that question to both of you.
Hey, Sean, what does it feel like to be an American right now?
Ooh, it feels pretty raw right now, no matter what your views are, I feel like. It's just like, I mean, as we started this, I was just looking at some of our video done by incredible York Cousineau in the space. He's in the house.
We're doing this amidst the tech rehearsal.
He's in the house doing his
No,
magic.
you shut up. That's how we joke. I actually think he's working, so
Everything you hear in the background is tech.
It's tech. It's amazing, and it's spontaneous and really
So how do you feel
special.
to be American
Okay,
right
so
now?
yeah, just I think raw and unsettled
and
disoriented, and any sliver of hope often is followed by further confusion and mess. So that's about how I'm feeling. What about you, Justin?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, yes, I feel those things, but this summer I was, as you know, in France and Scotland.
Are you saying "as you know" to like the
yeah,
people?
Hey, hey, listener, as you know, I was in France and Scotland and
Humble brag.
and Greece, and I got a very different perspective on what it means to be an American being abroad. It was both like everybody on the international scale is just as aghast as we are, but this feels weird to say, but like there's this thing of like how lucky we are with the freedoms we have. One of my best friends, she's from Turkey, which if we don't know what's going on in Turkey, then get out from your rock, under your rock. But it's just interesting talking global politics with some of my friends. And then Greece, I was in Greece for a long time, and they're still dealing with their economic crisis. And then even in France, the racial tension with refugees and all of these things, we're all swimming in our own crap in our different countries, but all of these friends I would talk to would just be so much like, you don't understand how lucky you have it, how you have these freedoms. There was a Spanish friend that I had, and he's just like, you have this energy and I can't pinpoint it. There's this thing about you Americans that you're just free to say what you want, to do what you want, to believe what you want, to fight for what you want. That sorry, he's not Spanish, he's Catalan.
He probably won't hear.
He probably won't hear this, but of course, like he's fighting for independence, for Catalan independence, and here we are, fighting our own fight. So at the same time, I'm feeling this stress, but I'm also feeling really lucky. We get a chance to get on stage and openly say the things that we're saying.
Yeah.
When just this summer, my friend from Turkey, she was saying they were doing a show. She was in the middle of a show, and the police came in and arrested the lead actor in the middle of the show, dragged him out of the theater. Everybody it's so normal that everybody in the theater is just like quiet. Some people are yelling. But it was.
Do they have their standby on?
I don't know. It was about it's a trans story, and it was a trans performer, and that's not legal there, and so just got dragged out of the theater.
And there is a distinction, like that sort of censorship and that sort of like leaders or leadership combating free speech and free press. We feel that, and I think I keep reacting as if it is that bad because there seems to be the sort of slippery slope that Trump had his way, like Jim Acosta wouldn't be able to ask him questions anymore, and that he would just get to do that. But there's still we still are seeing checks and balances, and it's not as bad as Erdogan in Turkey. Yeah. Like, we are not being arrested. You are not being arrested when you're Melania Trump on stage.
Yeah.
But
But that would happen in another country. Could happen in another country. Yeah. The show could not happen in some countries. Yeah. The way that we're doing it at the scale we're doing it.
I drove. I'm an Uber and Lyft driver when I'm not being a star, as you totally know from my Instagram story.
Just for extra cash, because this working actor gig.
Oh yeah. No, this is just to for my timeshare. To furnish my timeshare. Do you do? Great.
Do I do timeshares?
Do you do timeshares? I actually have a great presentation.
I've gone on like free vacations, like cruise, trip to Florida, and you only have to sit through a 2-hour timeshare.
No, I did that once. Yeah.
It's the most painful thing.
It was
then
rough.
You get a free vacation.
I have such a hard time making a salesman sad, and I was like, I know I can't accept this, but he got so sad.
I haven't told you the story about Rose. It was Adam and I, my husband and I, and we are going to go on the record with this. We went to the pitch, and we were just like, no, thank you. And they were like, okay. So then they went to this back room. It was like a holding tank. I'm going to make this as short as possible.
Right.
And then out comes like the most attractive sales guy they had. And he was like, hey, gents, so what can I do to convince you? And we were like, Adam and I were just like, look, we're like, what's going on? And we were like, no means no. We don't want a timeshare. Can we just have our Disney tickets and get out of here? He's like, wait a second. He goes to a back room. Out waddles this like elderly lesbian in a walker. So she's like barely making. She's like, hey boys. And we're like, hi. She's like, made it really good. She's like, you know, I'm family too. Is Woody still in Philadelphia? And we're like, what is going on right now? We're in Florida. She's like, is Woody still in Philadelphia? You know, back when I was there, blah, blah, blah. So you want to buy a timeshare? And Adam and I are like, do they just have like a shelf full of people back there that's like, keep sending, yeah. Anyway, let's get back on topic.
We're going to need a Philadelphian, like right now.
Yeah. So I started saying that driving a Turkish person who is a professor of philosophy at Penn. It's so good. I just had to, because like if I just abandon that story, then like what am I doing?
I really hope this is how the writer's room works.
It sort of is. It's very distractible. Driving a woman who is an adjunct at Penn teaching philosophy, and she was like, my husband and I just moved here from Turkey, and our friends, philosophy professors, are in jail. They were imprisoned for just teaching.
Yeah.
And other friends who were journalists thrown in jail. Yeah. And no one can contact them. That's terrifying. Yeah. That's terrifying. And that's sort of the confrontation and the villainizing of the press. Yeah. It just feels like that's a potential outcome. And Erdogan feels like such a parallel to Trump in really gross ways. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Speaking of theater,
feeling like an American.
It is.
This is fitting, and actually that sound cue is kind of fitting too, because I think there was definitely a moment this year where I was thinking, you know, there's all this talk about the anniversary of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, mm-hmm. and then you're just thinking about the world that he had sort of envisioned for young adults to grow up into is nothing like, you know, what they were learning growing up, what we were learning growing up. So we needed, like, there were so many different revisits, you know, in documentary form. There was an interesting theater piece that kind of was trying to pull us back to those wholesome days where, like, you know, the world is tough, but this is how we get through it, through some soft, gentle words of wisdom.
Right.
And, you know, it's good for the moment that you're in the theater. You walk out with a smile on your face, but then you get kind of hit with society's what did he say previously on what he just said, which has been crazy. Let's go back to the first day of rehearsal. if you can remember, when rehearsal started, can you remember what was part of the news cycle at that time, or what were the starting conversations for the first rehearsal?
So hard to remember.
So typically before we rehearse, we have a writer's room meeting like a month or so before, maybe in the summer, of just what's in the zeitgeist of the year.
Sort of
And
temperature gauge. Of
yeah,
where
it's
we're at.
everybody just throws anything and everything in the melting pot, from what is politically hot to what is the latest celebrity gossip to what are trends in like technology, or what are people doing to escape, what's a song people are listening to.
Mm-hmm.
And we sort of just put all of those on the table, and then Jen will give a couple things to think about, maybe. And then that's sort of the I think, consider the official go, because from that I get inspired to go home and brainstorm some ideas on my own time in that month or so off, and then generate some ideas, which brings us to the first rehearsal. Sean.
Oh, and I'll take it from there. In first rehearsal, jumping off from that dinner, there's a sort of synthesis of those ideas, and there's a very loose, like, skeletal outline of a proposal, really. Like, it doesn't necessarily make it as the show, but oftentimes pieces of it do, and at least directions often do. Like, they're... So we start from there, and then we begin to talk through in sort of that first day, group write, not necessarily pen to pad, but talking through things, kind of just spitballing ideas per each thing in that sort of collective brainstorm. And it's always like a special sort of mental exhaustion, I find. It's great, but I find at the end of those days I'm like so fried. But yeah, that...
So for the first rehearsal in the first week, the skeleton that we entered with was this concept that 2018 has been just so exhausting, so stressful, so politically charged, that all we want to do right now is just escape. Like, just take a break and escape. And the first entry point we had was, we were initially envisioning like the first act as 2018 the musical. What does the whole year look like as a musical? And if we parodied some famous musicals, Fiddler on the Roof, West Side Story, classic ones too, what the lyrics changed would be, how that story talks to today. And so that was really our starting point a few weeks ago. And then from there, things have absolutely evolved and gone a little bit away from that. That's still in the show. I don't want to spoil too much. But we started to just riff on that idea of escapism. And then, like, what is it you're escaping into? And then what do you confront in your fantasy? Unfortunately, it's still politic in there, too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and how I think we're trying to speak to how that escapism is... We're not necessarily making a judgment call on it, because we all have that right now. We're just trying to cope. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those fantasies aren't perfect, and we're trying to do that in a way that we're hitting some satirical notes through that, and also, you know, showing that fantasy isn't like the be all end all right now, nor should it be.
Well, it's interesting now, especially these last 2 years, because you know, in the past we were kind of dealing with, come on, can't we just work together? You know, kind of thoughts. It's just that both sides have strong opinions, so we're just trying to get to common ground. But here, it's just, are you kidding me? Are you just kidding me? And where I feel like almost every day, that's why I was like, what did he say today? Mm-hmm. You know, it was kind of like, there should be a segment. I think there is a podcast like What He Just Said or something like that. That is just because every day it just seems like, what else can I throw out there to sort of, you know, in the past we would look at this as some sort of deflection. It's like, oh, because they're being savvy, they're making something happen over here while they're having us look over here. But really, it's just like, there's a whole lot of nothing going on except for us saying, like, there really isn't, this is not becoming of what we expect our leader to be.
Yeah, those games, the sort of sleight of hand games and the other political games are either not happening or they're happening right now with this administration in such a transparent way, where there's like something negative happens in the administration. There's some report of tension, something leaks out, and then it's like, great, there's a caravan coming. But those messages are not for everyone. Those messages are to mobilize the base, and it's just speaking to the sort of like how people keep kind of bemoaning that there's a lack of conversation across party lines, and it's like it feels like people see people with different political views right now, and I feel like I can be this way too, and just be like, who are you? How can you think that way? How can just kind of feel like, and we're dehumanizing each other, and I don't really know what to do about it.
I mean, last year we purged all of our friends who didn't agree with us. Apparently, like that was the trend.
or
media.
Or said like I'm taking a break.
Like boldly
from
having
Facebook.
Conversations online saying, if you don't agree with me, we can't be friends anymore. And it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
We've been disagreeing for years. But there was something about last year that was just like, I just can't.
And those conversations are so problematic too. There's so much like trying to be seen doing a certain thing and being a certain sort of social justice warrior on social media. And it's like, in that is something so dehumanizing because you're just responding to people's words, and I don't know. And you're not in the room with anyone, and I just that stuff really irks me.
Yeah. I only hope that the people who follow Rep Radio or follow our social channels see our resist is we are resisting by entering into yet another theater to escape into the wonderful talent that we have in this community. And I think that is probably the best way to deal with all of this because we're finding so many interesting ways to go to exit that theater and impart what we just experienced into the overall conversation. And then I think that, in a sense, all of this sort of elevates the work that we're presenting on stage and makes it that much more valuable. So that's sort of my hope.
Yeah.
And I hope if you were listening and kind of confused, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's a good mission statement.
Yeah. So this year we'll have the mainstays that we can come to expect. Sean, you'll be on the desk again, and Rob Tucker, who will be music directing this year, and we'll have David in the lobby, which is always fun, and then we'll get Patsy.
You will get Patsy.
It'll be interesting to hear what Patsy has to say about what's going on this year.
Patsy has things to say.
Can either of you think of some of the ideas that will not make it into this year that you were holding on so strongly to?
Good
that are
question.
just kind of waiting for something to change and say, remember that idea?
Yeah.
That's so tricky because the news cycle is changing so rapidly every day, and that was one of the things that we were like, how do you put all of it in? And I think in our launch, what we call our launch is the first sort of sketch with the whole company before the show actually starts, where we sort of lay out the whole structure, or seed some things that you'll see. In that launch, we sort of address a whole bunch of things that have happened through the year, and with the follow-up question of that happened this year. That was this year. Yeah. And so I think that's like one of the places where we address that. But yeah, it's so tricky because I don't know if this goes in this category of like what did we not put in the show, but because things are changing so fast, it's hard to find something that can be or like an act one sort of solid thing that will take us through so that we don't have to like rewrite an entire sketch.
Yeah. I think with like, I feel sort of like anxious as we watch the news, and I think we've even said I don't want to give away what sketch this would affect, but we're like, we hope these people don't do anything soon that would change what we needed to say within this sketch. I think I kind of am like holding my breath about changing things. I'm not like, I really want this thing to get in there. It's more like, please, like no major cataclysmic event. Cataclysmic? Is that a word?
Sure. Cataclysmic. We do not have Donald Trump embodied on stage. That's something people should know. He's very much present in the whole show, undeniably. But that was a conversation on the table early on. Is like, how do we do this? And we had an actor in past that would portray Trump before his presidency. And it's just now we might not necessarily need to give him more stage time than he already has. So
he has
definitely
so much stage time. He has so much stage time and so much his personality and everything around his personality dominates and pulls.
Is this spoiler? No, it's teaser. There was
different.
We have a lot of gritty peppered throughout, and we were talking at one point of more gritty.
Yes.
I'll just say that.
More gritty.
Philadelphia's new spirit animal.
Yeah. I'm loving gritty and these like iterations on protest signs.
I will say that Gritty's social media game is on point.
Yeah. It's so funny that I'm not much of a hockey fan, so I'm like,
shows up, it's just kind of crazy. There was conversation at my day gig where we were talking about the introduction of the Philly Fanatic. Kind of had the same sort of vibe where people were like, "What is this? Who is this? Is
when was
kind
that?
of scary." I can't remember the official date. I looked it up, but I don't have it right now. I'm sorry. I'll have to put it in the show notes. But Philadelphia was tough to warm up to the Fanatic right away, but then eventually was like, "Yeah, this is right." Well thought out.
He's a bizarre mascot.
Yeah.
And I like how they're both not. It's not like that's a lion and that's an eagle. It's like those are
he's just
alien monsters. Yeah,
he's just your run-of-the-mill Broad Street brawler.
Yeah,
ready to start a fight.
Just ready to gyrate. Get on the dugout.
There was an interesting video of him the first day of the first snow.
Fanatic or Gritty?
Gritty.
Okay.
Gritty's first snow, and he creates a. Not really a snow angel, but sort of like a heart-shaped item in there. Hi.
Hi, Dan.
There's Dan O'Neill, one of the directors, right?
Yeah, co-director Dan O'Neill.
Co-direction here. So it'll be fun to see Gritty added in, because it's not all about what's going on in D.C.
That's right, yeah.
It's everything that's going on around the world. And I do like the idea of, like, how do you just sort of hover around this, the other orange elephant in the room, and really craft a production without giving too much attention to that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about the desk and when do you start prepping content for the desk, because that is the part of the show that changes every night, and but how do you sort of gear yourself up to present?
Well, my job is somewhat easy because I'm really like the deliverer of those news jokes.
Written.
It is being written, and it's being written
by
Don Montre.
Montre.
Yeah, our head news writer. And he, at this point, we are in tech, and we have our first preview Friday, and this is Tuesday. No press. At this point, we have a couple news segments that feel like it's stuff that has happened maybe around the midterms and stuff that's happened recently that we feel like can be sort of evergreen, that we can have as part of the news that might need to be tweaked but can be a mainstay in the news. Mm-hmm. And then we're just kind of waiting for that stuff. Whatever happens this week, we're kind of waiting. I'm waiting to get more news, but it'll reveal itself, and yeah, and that's the fun of it as well. that there's stuff that we get the night before, there's stuff that we get day of, and we don't have a chance to read until we're at, 45 minutes until places, and we sit down at like the lip of the stage, and I read the jokes, and we talk about which land and which we'd like to add and which we'd like to try, and then it's a living process. It's a living and changing process, and it's fun for me to get in there and almost be a sort of like editor and deliverer of these things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Don so far has written some great stuff, and I'm super anxious to see what else.
So every year there's always some special guests that show up. Can we tease any of those, or is that?
I don't even know them. Tyler from marketing, ladies and gentlemen.
That's impressive.
Unless you want to keep it a secret.
process.
Okay, so you got to keep it a secret.
Fingers
So
crossed for Gritty.
Keep an eye on the website and social channels for that.
And
that would be so awesome.
it would be awesome. And who knows about former Mayor Nutter? That happened.
Oh.
That happened 3 years ago.
great.
That was the best.
Yeah, he was
Was
a lot
that
of fun.
my first opening night of doing this, 2015?
Yeah.
That was wild.
And he used our scary bathroom
Use the
downstairs.
scary bathroom. Wash his hands in the bathtub with no soap. Just
They're like, yeah.
We're like, oh, that's
See what happens when you don't fund the arts? Oh, sorry.
yeah. Well,
So I was going to ask today, and at some point today, I went to the website, and it hadn't quite happened yet. But today, one of two turkeys will be pardoned.
Oh, right.
Peas and or carrots. And
that's their names?
yes, peas and or carrots. And I wanted to get your take on who should be pardoned.
Have they shown their turkey personalities?
I don't know.
Not that should.
There are some interesting stats, and I'll just
Okay,
read
give me those
them.
stats.
So Peas, height, weight, blah blah blah. His favorite music band is Brad Paisley. His favorite snack is popcorn.
Okay, I'm into popcorn.
His gobble style is boisterous.
Gobble
His
style.
favorite sport is ice fishing.
Wow, this sounds like you, Sean.
It sure does.
His favorite pastime
Brad Paisley's
is watching
earlier, so.
planes, and his goal is to learn to fly.
Okay, give us carrots.
Okay,
That
I
was-
wasn't on board with the Brad Paisley thing because I'm not
But
much
the
of a
goal
new
to fly.
country guy. But like watching planes and the goal to fly, that's such an interesting. I would love
There's
to watch
a very
it.
complex psychology.
There's like a feature
Yeah, yeah.
about him, sort of homeward
Okay,
bound
carrots?
spin-off.
So that was Peas, and Carrots. His favorite music or band is Elvis. His favorite snack is M&M's.
I hate him already.
His gobble style is strong and confident.
Oof.
His favorite sport is telemark snow skiing.
Sounds
About that.
Sounds like
Favorite
an old
pastime, yoga.
Man. Put on some Elvis and do some yoga.
And life goal is to meet the Virginia Tech hockey bird.
Oh, the hokey.
Hokey
Gobble,
bird.
Eat
gobble.
that one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
eat carrots.
You're gonna eat carrots?
Yeah.
I'm
I'm gonna eat
Peas,
them.
Peas has a much more interesting narrative.
So I guess
That I get behind.
I guess you were supposed to go to the website to vote, but I feel like no one wants to go to the website to do anything other than send in nasty comments.
Is that what's underneath?
I don't.
these stats?
Yeah, I think you
Kill 'em
had to
both.
vote. That's why it's like one or the other.
But
I just think every year they should just pardon both of them.
I
It would
pardon
be-
the people that have to be there for that event.
Pardon.
Who's
I'm
mandatory
sorry
at
you
the
have to
turkey
be
pardoning?
with the president as he pardons
Yeah.
Peas
And
or
who are they in
the-
real life? Are they like Cohen and Manafort?
Oh.
I thought it'd be
there.
interesting if there was some slip in there. It was like,
Right.
oh,
Let's
got.
get right. Is Mueller deciding?
He
who
said
gets
too
pardoned?
much.
the real turkeys in here.
Let's get the human turkeys. You turkey.
Yeah.
There's a turkey food.
So there's always a fun song at the end. We look forward to that.
Yeah.
When you all get together and kind of bring us back
Yeah.
from the edge and send us out into the world with a little bit of a hopeful song, and we'll look forward to that. I was going to ask you what it is, but we'll just wait.
Yeah, we'll keep it a surprise.
Keep it all a surprise. But this is the week that has been extended.
Oh.
Didn't know
It's
yet.
news to me.
Thank you for letting us know.
We're like, our
I was gonna
contracts
get a
haven't come
free
through
trip
yet.
for-
I didn't know about an extension.
Got a free trip in early January. And I just
But
have to
it'll-
sit through a timeshare presentation.
It'll run
so-
through the 5th of January, which will be interesting because it always seems like towards the end of the year, like there's not a whole lot of news, but something tells me this administration is
You have cursed
Yes,
it.
something insane's going to happen.
aiming to keep us on our toes. So we'll continue to look forward to that.
Yeah.
But I think this is where I'll leave you.
Okay.
Sean and Justin, thanks for chatting with
Thank
me.
you.
Thanks for
this
chatting with
year's
us.
the 13th annual production of This Is the Week That Is. Oh, also,
Yes.
Also, you guys are being followed around a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a documentary. American Theater Wing has reached out to recognize how impactful this production has been over the last 13 seasons. It's crazy that it's been that long.
Yeah.
So that must be fun. They'll be following you around till the end of the performance run. So it'll be interesting to see what that turns out to be.
I agree.
So congratulations on that. I'm being a part of it.
Thanks.
Yeah, so this is the week that is. If you're listening to this, it's running now. So go online, 1812productions.org, and get 2 tickets because theater is more fun with a +1.
That's a great. I like that. I like that tag.
Yes.
That's nice.
On how I always pat myself on the back when I say that.
Yeah.
Yes, Sean, Close, Justin, Jain, thank you so much for chatting with
Thanks,
me
Danielle.
this season. And I'll leave you to your rehearsal.
To rehearsal.
All right. Want to get involved with Broad Street Review? Head on over to our website at www.broadstreetreview.com and click Get Involved at the top. While you're there, help keep us running and click Contribute to find out how. Connect with us on social media on Facebook and Twitter at Broad Street Review. Thank you for helping to keep the conversation going.